I wanted to know what is your opinion about this current situation with the justice system with Rittenhouse and Arbery?
Well, to be very clear, Baba David, as it relates to the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
It was a clear case of white privilege. Mm-hmm. Now, when I said that on my social network post, a lot of brothers and sisters said, what are you talking about? How is this a case of white privilege? He murdered 2 white people and injured a third. So how does this relate to white privilege? And the answer is real simple. See, our problem, Baba David, is we don't think critically enough about some of these decisions that are being made by the power structure. The reason Kyle Rittenhouse got off was to send 2 clear messages to everybody in America. Message number 1, even if you are not a Negro, if you stand with them, if you protest with them, if you challenge white police power with them, your life will be just as devalued as theirs. That's message number 1. Protest with the blacks, you will be treated like the blacks. That's the message. The second message in that verdict is to let all white folks know that if you feel the need to arm yourself and go into a Black Lives Matter protest or any other protest for black justice in this country, and if you feel the need to shoot a couple of protesters in defense of your country, we will stand by you and we will defend you in the courts. To me, that verdict was a clear message that white folks are allowed to shoot people who are standing with black folks in our protests. And it's a message to black people that if you want to keep on protesting, we will basically deputize any white person to come into your protest, come into your city, shoot and kill you, and they will not be held responsible. That was setting a precedent to allow white people to kill black people and others who stand with black people in these marches against police genocide. That's why he walked. It is about white privilege, because now any white person who wants to come and shoot up a Black Lives Matter protest has the chance of potentially walking away free. How do you go home from a double homicide in a place you had no business being with a gun you just bought, and you're not even legally allowed to have the gun, and the judge throws out the illegal possession of a gun charge?
Yeah, because of the size of the rifle.
Say that again, Bob.
Because of the size of the rifle. That's why he threw out the gun charge, because the gun didn't meet the size that was legally made it illegal.
Right. That's the justification. But had Kyle Rittenhouse been black, that charge would have stuck. And so when we evaluate and analyze these various legal decisions, we have to make sure we don't overthink them to the point of trying to justify the injustice. Because you see black people doing that. They don't want to blame racism. So they overanalyze the process and say, well, maybe there was a way that this could have happened like this. No, it's not, because all you got to do is imagine that he was a black man. Does this go down the same way? This was white privilege, and it was white privilege with an agenda to pave the way for other quote-unquote white vigilantes to shoot up Black Lives Matter protests and get away with it.
Yeah, it's like that's been their playbook all along. You know, they used to call them in-lovers. If you in-lovers want to march with them, then y'all going to get the same thing. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. The message was clear to white folks.
They just wanted to reiterate that.
And there's a long precedent of that, you know, even during the abolitionist movement, when white folks, you know, some of them assisted our ancestors in running away on the Underground Railroad. If they got caught, they got shot and killed just like everybody else did.
Well,
so this was America reminding white folks, stay in your place when it comes to Negroes. Let the Negroes stand by themselves.
But do you think that we need to, is there a need to end racism, or just focus on our own energies?
Focus on our own energies, Baba Day, because you cannot end racism. As long as there's white people, there will be white racism. It is too ingrained in the culture. To get rid of white racism is to basically get rid of white culture, because their entire culture, politically, economically, socially, intellectually, is about the domination and monopolization of resources and opportunities. That's how they came to conquer the world. So you're never getting rid of racism. But what you can do is eliminate white racism's ability to affect you. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the Chinese, because they are a superpower themselves, the Chinese, by virtue of being a power, they don't have to worry as much about racism as African countries have to worry about white racism, because they are strong. As the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, the greatest protection against injustice is power. Black people don't understand that. Mm-hmm. He said the greatest protection against injustice is power. Not voting, not praying, not marching, not college degrees, but power. Black people have not concerned ourselves with the concentration and accumulation of power. And that's why we're losing. The Chinese have power. The East Indians have power. European Jews have power. Anglo-Saxons have power. The Mexicans and Latinos are building power. Black people are not. In no area are we known for power. We're known for influence, but we're not known for power. So, for example, hip-hop is the most influential genre of music in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the highest earning genres of music in the world. Totally influenced and created by black people. But who controls hip-hop? Mm-hmm. 97% of it controlled by white people. Mm-hmm. You go to athletics, the NBA, the NFL. Who are the influencers? The black people, the athletes drive the NBA, drive the National Football League, but all the owners are white. The majority stakeholders are white. So influence is one thing. Power is another. We need power. If we don't get comfortable having conversations about power, we'll never get free.
Okay, but now how do we attain power when we try to get it, and they come behind us and try to take the wheels out from underneath us?
Well, here's my question. When was the last time black people, in an organized and systemic manner, tried to build and apply power in any area of human endeavor? We have
not. That's why not? I mean, we've had people with a lot of good ideas.
We have been made to believe, number one, power is evil. That human beings should not seek power, because power is the domain of the Creator. And anybody who seeks power is rivaling the Creator for control. And that is totally wrong, because we are the deputized vicegerents of the Creator here on earth. It is our job to apply power in a manner that guarantees justice for all. So, quite to the contrary, if you believe in God, you need power in order to carry out God's will. Look at the black church. The reason the black church is so socially and economically and politically impotent, because it wields no power. Now, this is an institution that collects millions of dollars every Sunday, billions throughout the entire year. Mm-hmm. And yet and still they have no power, because they're not thinking about using that money and using the amount of people that come to their church in a manner that transforms things for black people. We're allergic, as a people, we're allergic to power. We don't want power. What we want is participation. We want to be included. We want integration, not power accumulation.
Wow, that's amazing, because again, we a lot of us assume that we have power. I assume I have power over my activities, power over my thoughts, power over what I do in my daily life. But some people, they just like zombies, and they just go along to get along.
Well, learned helplessness is a scientific fact, Baba David. There's been research studies. You put a mice inside of a box, and you give that mice a way out the box, but you never actually let him leave. You keep telling him, this is how you get out. You keep showing the mice the little hole, but every time the mice tries to get through the hole, he can't get out. And not only can he not get out, but every time he fails to get out, he gets shot. And so after trying and trying and trying, what does he learn? Constantly failing over and over again, the mice just gives up. He no longer tries to escape the box. That is black people in America. But I want to add this little caveat. Although we are trying to get out the box of white power, and we keep being stung by disappointment, stung by police genocide, and stung by gentrification and mass incarceration, and stunned by all the other evils that the white power structure has introduced into the black community, we have to understand that when we do not put credible strategies into motion, when we do not put credible goals into motion, we actually help the power structure off our desire to be free, which leads to the learned helplessness. I'll give you an example. Barack Obama. Black people, Barack Obama was an attempt for us to get out the box. We saw his election to 2 terms as an attempt to escape the box of white supremacy, not understanding that he was a representative of white supremacy. So after Obama failed to deliver for black people, a lot of our people gave up, Baba David. They won't say it because Barack Obama is still very popular because the black bourgeoisie keeps it so, okay? And because to admit that Obama was a failure for black people would be to admit that the black bourgeoisie was also a failure for black people. In the black church and the Congressional Black Caucus and the Urban League and the NAACP, they can allow that. So they have to continue to push a narrative that Barack Obama was a success for black people, although all the evidence points to the contrary. But a lot of black people quit after Obama failed us because they really put their heart into him. Black people who never voted came out to vote. So you could view all 8 years of the Obama administration as 8 attempts for the black mice to get out the white box. And every year that another person got murdered by the police, every year that our statistics got worse and worse in every area of index, that represents a shot. That represents the black mice being shot. And once he got out of office, a lot of black people gave up and said, this is hopeless. So learned helplessness is a very big problem in the consciousness of black people in America.
That is what I was talking about, how, you know, we try to take strides, but then they get this learned helplessness, hopelessness, and just want to live, just want to go to work, just want to earn a measly salary and take care of their family and just stay home, mind their business.
But David, that's also one of the reasons why I'm so brutal with my truth. That's one of the reasons why I'm so unapologetically African with my message. Why? Because I don't ever want somebody to come and say, Dr. told us if we do this, things will get better. No, Al Sharpton told you if you keep voting for Barack Obama, things will get better. I will never do that. I will only endorse a strategy that I know will work. And that's why a lot of times you hear black people say, well, why is Dr. Umar so hard? Or, you know, why can't he just be a little softer? I'm not going to do that because I know that every time black people try and they fail, that helps the power structure because they just got one step closer to quitting altogether. They've gotten one step closer to being another statistic on the learned helplessness list. And I'm not going to see that. I am only going to endorse a strategy, a goal, a tactic, or a mission, an agenda that I know will result in positive change for black people. I will not co-sign nonsense. And that's why I didn't co-sign Obama. I'm not going to co-sign Biden. I'm not going to co-sign none of the nonsense that the Congressional Black Caucus is doing. And that's why when people ask me, they say, Dr. Umar, well, who's doing something that you consider critically important? It's hard for me to point out anybody.
That's true.
I didn't say that there's not people doing good things. I didn't say there's not people making changes and building institutions. I didn't say that. But when you say critically important, I'm thinking about 5 problems: education, incarceration, gentrification, economics, and police genocide. That's what I'm dealing with. And so when we talk about critical needs, I don't see a lot being done to address the five-headed dragon.
And employment as well.
Absolutely, and that goes to the economic side.
Yes. What about the one in Georgia, the situation in Georgia? How do you feel about that?
Lord Arbery case,
yes.
I listened to the testimony of one of the killers, and the prosecutor did an excellent job of exposing his lies. He couldn't even remember his own lies. He literally kept changing, and I don't remember that I said, I mean, it was bad. He did a horrible job on that stand. You could clearly tell they came up with a story to try to cover up the assassination.
Absolutely.
But I do believe there's a link between the Rittenhouse and the Arbery case.
Absolutely.
If Kyle Rittenhouse can kill two people in a place he had no business being with a gun he shouldn't have legally had anyway, and he can go home, then how can these white men be held accountable for a murder when they felt they were doing the community justice by, quote-unquote,
citizen's arrest,
being Ahmaud Arbery under a citizen's arrest because they thought he had committed a felony crime. Now, of course, he committed no felony crime. He did nothing wrong. But the narrative that they can push, and they are pushing it, is that it was a lawful citizen's arrest, and that somehow, some way, in jogging shorts and jogging sneakers, and I still don't understand this, 3 white men armed felt threatened by an unarmed jogger, so much so that they had to shoot him at least 3 times. Now, that's the part.
He got shot 3 times?
They're trying to explain.
Wow.
They have to come up with an answer for that. I don't know how you're going to come up. You chase him down in your cars, armed with weapons. He has nothing. You go on foot, and 3 men felt threatened by 1 jogger.
You know what he's saying? What the shooter is saying that when they walked up on him and had him cornered like a rat, as they said, you know, and then when Arbery saw that he had no way out and he was facing the gun, he reached to try to get the gun from the guy, and that's when the guy said he felt threatened and felt like it was self-defense. He said because if Arbery had got the gun from him, he probably could have turned the gun around and shot him.
You see how this is working out? Now, take your story, Baba David. Ahmaud Arbery reached for the gun, which is a lie, and the guy shot him. Is that not the same story that Kyle Rittenhouse used?
Yep.
As to why he killed one of those guys?
Yep, he said the guy had a gun and came. Yep.
Exactly, and I shot him.
Yep.
Look at the parallel there. So if Kyle Rittenhouse gets to go home because he shot somebody reaching for his gun, even though the person reaching for his gun was trying to disarm you because you posed an imminent threat to the protesters, but that totally got ignored. What happened to the citizen's arrest that Kyle Rittenhouse was attempted to be put under?
Yes.
That totally got ignored. You see that? So the same thing is going to be played for the Ahmaud Arbery case. They're going to say the same thing. Kyle Rittenhouse said he was going for my gun, and I panicked, to defend myself. I used deadly force. That's the same lie they're going to use. Yes, I really do believe.
Yep.
I really do believe that that Kyle Rittenhouse got off in order to help the 3 white men in Georgia get off of killing Ahmaud Arbery. I totally believe that.
Yeah, I think that the whole fix was in with the judge and everything.
And here's the super fix, though. Here's the super fix. The super fix is that in the county where the Ahmaud Arbery, rest in peace, case is being held, Baba David, there's only one is either one black juror or one juror of color. Okay?
Yes. But
black people are 25% of that county. So if black people are 25% of that county, why is there only one black person or one quote-unquote person of color on the Ahmaud Arbery jury? And then when you go to the Kyle Rittenhouse jury, if I'm not mistaken, the same situation. One person of color. And in that case, I'm almost certain it wasn't a black person because they never said black. They just kept saying person of color. So the question that I have for our elected officials, how is it possible that 2 major televised cases, court cases, involving race, and on both of them, black people are underrepresented in the jury and nobody's saying a word about it? How is that possible?
Well, I think we've gotten to the age of, they act like, so what? What y'all gonna do about it? Make me do
totally. It's bold. It's bold. It is. You're absolutely right, Brother David. White supremacy is no longer covert. It is overt. It is in your face. White folks are tired of hiding. They said, we played this, we shall overcome game for 55 years. And we tired of playing it. Black people no longer have the political organization. They no longer have the sincere leadership. Also, black people are just as materialistic as us white folks. They are afraid of losing their American citizenship. To hell with these Negroes. We're going to start telling them what we feel, and we dare them to do something about it. Something that H. Brown said, and we got to keep our brother Jamil Alameen in our prayers, because as you know, he's still alive, and he's one of the only surviving original leaders, not just participants. We have a lot of participants still alive from the original Black Panther Party, the original civil rights movement, although we've been losing a lot of them. But in terms of the icons of the struggle, there's no greater icon left, especially since the passing of John Lewis, than H. Brown, Imam Jamil Alameen. He's in prison fighting for his life. And he said that conditions create rebellion. Not leaders, not speeches, conditions. The reason I'm quoting him, Baba David, and by the way, I believe the only person he could be compared to is probably Malcolm X in terms of his intellectual analysis. He was H. Brown, Malcolm X, and James Baldwin. And of course, we take issue with James respectfully because, of his sexual identity, but I do not throw out the baby with the bathwater. I still affirm him as one of the greatest black minds we ever had, although I respectfully disagree with his lifestyle. But those were three intellectual giants. If you put them three in a ring with any other three people from our community or any other race, H. Brown, James Baldwin, and Malcolm X, they win every debate hands down. But the reason I bring up that quote, conditions create rebellion, not leaders, H. Brown, and I'm paraphrasing that, is because the further they oppress us, Baba David, the more they give rise to the energy of rebellion. There's no greater way to guarantee a rebellion than for the oppressor to give no room of recourse for the oppressed. So what is happening right now, as much as we hate it, and I want it to stop as much as you do, I also understand military and political science, and it is exactly this treatment that black people is getting from the American power structure that will give rise to a whole new generation of young revolutionary activists. The white man is doing a better job than I ever can, creating the conditions that will give birth to the next great black rebellion in this country.